Thank you, everybody. So there's no other matter with this 5.4 at this time. So we're going to move on to our information items. Start with Councillor Taylor.
I'm just wondering if, for the benefit of the people that might be listening, if we could explain what just happened.
Okay, if I can look at the CEO to explain, he's looking at his emails.
Yeah, I don't think there's any reason for this to be not transparent.
Nope.
So through the chair to committee and any of the public who might be listening, council is requesting that a special meeting of council occur Wednesday, January 10th, which is tomorrow at 4 p.m. in the council chambers to discuss shelters for extreme cold.
Thank you, CEO. NASIC. Okay. All right, with that then, so we will have a special meeting at 4 o'clock tomorrow in the chambers. And there'll be notifications that are sent out to the public probably this evening. So, okay. All right, then we will move on to our information items. And for this month, we have a proclamation. It's a little unusual to have a proclamation during, we typically have them in regular, but because we didn't have a regular last week and it would be almost the end of the month by the time we got to this, we have the proclamation for Alzheimer's Awareness Month. So I'd like to read that whereas January is designated internationally as Alzheimer's Awareness Month, and the town of Hinton wishes to raise awareness of a disease that, with other forms of dementia, affects over 7% of our population, almost 327,000 Albertans and their families. And whereas Alzheimer's disease is the most common form of dementia, where people suffer progressively severe cognitive decline, memory loss, and difficulty performing even the simplest daily activities. And whereas the Alzheimer's Society of Alberta and Northwest Territories provides valuable information and services for everyone affected by dementia and Alzheimer's disease, including supporting rural communities like ours to improve the quality of life for stricken individuals, their families, and care partners. And whereas as a focus on its commitment in January, the town of Hinton lights its municipal facilities blue to encourage everyone in Hinton to increase their awareness of the challenges of Alzheimer's disease and the valuable work of both paid and unpaid care partners in our community. Together, we can build a more dementia-friendly community. Now, therefore, on behalf of the committee from the town of Hinton, do hereby proclaim the month of January 2024 as Alzheimer's Awareness Month in Hinton. Thank you, everyone. Moving on then to 7 reporting. I'm going to start with council reports, and I will start with Councillor Magoon.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. We met on December the 20th, I think it was, with the policing committee. The bulk of that time was spent examining terms of reference, although of course we received regular reports as we always do. And I think certainly related to, not solely, but related to some of the work done in the draft parks bylaw in terms of some of the tools that may grant, if it's the will of council in the future. You know, there are concerns about what the effect of encampments in and around the community can have. We're also seeing the effects. We had engaged in a discussion about how that's also playing out in other communities like the city of Edmonton. And in fact, this week right now, in fact, I think today, they're working with their own issues around encampments and how it's impacted their community. So yeah, really that's the bulk of what was discussed on the last policing committee meeting. Thank you.
Councillor Magoon. Councillor Taylor.
I spent substantial amount of time at the public hearings for PAR 99, and I know that I learned something. And I know that a number of people that I talked to learned things when they went there. So I was happy to see how well attended they were. They were absolutely crowded yesterday from 3 till about 5:30, and then the crowd sort of died down a bit, but no, it was well attended by the public, which was good to see. Good.
Councillor Taylor. Councillor Rees.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I also attended for about 2 hours the open house at PAR 999. It was really interesting to hear all the different comments I heard, and it was really good to see the concessions that PAR 999. I think there was 5 or 6 that they've taken with with that area. So it was very interesting.
Councillor Reese, Councillor Session.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Like most of us, I too attended the PAR 999 open house. It was a good opportunity to get some feedback from citizens and additional information, some of which was actually new to me from PAR 999, so that was enjoyable. The other thing, on December 21st, I believe it was, we had the Youth Advisory Council meeting. Nothing too much to report that came out of that meeting. One interesting thing they did do I shouldn't say that. Sao Panasic and the mayor both were in attendance at that meeting, and took the opportunity to talk to the youth council a little bit about municipal procedure and how municipalities work, the role the CAO plays and things like that. So was an interesting discussion, and one of the fun things that they did towards the end of the meeting is they did a mock debate on the fact that Santa Claus's budget got cut, and they weren't sure if they were going to be able to continue to employ the elves. And I didn't realize, but apparently Santa falls under municipal jurisdiction. So the youth council had a debate on what they were going to do about being able to fund payment for the elves moving forward. And the consensus that they reached was to reach out to administration for additional information and make a decision at some point in the future. So, and that's all I've got to report. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Session. Renison?
So to highlight what Councillor Magoon mentioned about the police liaison committee talking about the encampments, one of the things that did come up there was how with the increase in fire risk and the behavior of people in the encampments, how that is a new and emerging threat, I suppose, or security, public safety concern for the community, and something, especially in these cold nights, that maybe we need to consider. The other interesting thing that I have for council is the letter that we sent to the minister regarding the pine beetle committee transferring to the wildfire committee. That's gotten some attention up in Grand Prairie. It came up in their council, and I got a call from a reporter today asking more questions about it, and I'll be talking to them tomorrow in more detail. But people are interested in what we're doing there, so it looks like we're headed off to the right direction. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. For myself, I had a ASH meeting last night, and business as usual. We had a chair report from our chairperson on the 2023 year. Numbers are great. They had 300 days of events in the path, and that includes their stakeholders, and then the path itself and events and everything. So yeah, lots of good things happening there. A lot of good upcoming events. So currently we have 109 tickets sold for George Canyon. Would love to see some more tickets, at least another 20 or 30. So hopefully people get out there and purchase their tickets, along with some comedians that are also coming as well. That's always a fun night. Yeah, so we'll hope to see everybody out there. And what else was there other than that? Yeah, business as usual. Oh, I should also mention a lot of these events happen behind the scenes by volunteers, and the main volunteers are our board. So we're always looking for new volunteers, because our board is very busy with volunteering, and that's concession and other things as well. So if there's any community members that are interested in getting involved and spelling some of our board members off from time to time, at some of these events, I'm sure that they can contact Wendy down at the site, and can discuss that with her, because it could be very helpful. Councillor Taylor.
I'm wondering if, as your path rep, you could ask them a question for me. Path doesn't allow individual groups to use the facility to put a sign on the front that says, say, the dance group or the movies group. That's not allowed. Wondering if you could find out the reason for that. So if you're putting on an event, you can't put a little sign in the window that says, you know, Hint Dance Studio on today, or Hint Movies on tonight. it's not allowed from what I've been told. So could you find out why that is? I'd be interested in understanding why an event that's going on can't promote itself in that humble way.
Well. We just had a situation not long ago because there was a sign up in our window from the Hinton movies. But it was up there all the time saying open, it would be all user groups, the problem, so that's why we use the electronic sign. And the electronic sign is what we use for all stakeholders, to let them know what's happening in the path and what's happening, at that time. So I can ask them, but we didn't want a whole window of signs of all the stakeholders.
No, I understand that. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about you rented this facility for like 3 hours. And for the 3 hours that you're there, you want to put a little sign in the window that says Hinton dance on tonight, 6 till 9. My understanding is that's not allowed. I don't understand why. If
Okay,
you put it up there forever, I understand why.
yeah.
Right.
I thought we could do, I will look into it. I will talk, I've asked the board. Yeah,
I'm not sure
Yeah.
if they can do that, that message has got to the user groups.
okay. Okay, we will ask.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and that's all I have to report at this time too. Oh, and Councilor Chambers. Sorry.
No problem. I have been sick for 3 weeks, so I haven't done much of anything and very sadly had to miss both par 999 sessions, although I'm sure everybody that was in the room was happy I wasn't there, coughing all over them. I attended virtually just IRC, so a review committee meeting with Community Futures on January 4th, and were able to approve another successful loan within their program. So I'm really enjoying understanding the benefits to our small business communities that come from working with the Community Futures Group and what they do as a region. So it's been really interesting for me. So hopefully I'm back in the land of the living again soon.
Thank you, Councilor Chambers. Moving on then to 7.2, Chief Administrative Officer. 14.
Thank you, Chair. I have provided a written update starting on page 44 and 49. If there are any questions on that update, either I or a member of staff would be happy to answer.
Thanks, CEO. Committee, Councilor Taylor, Councilor Reese.
Yeah, I've got a couple. I'll start with one.
Mhm.
The rural stream program. The two questions I have with that one are, how are other towns managing with this program? I've heard just anecdotally that the town of Edison's considering certain actions related to the program, getting out of it. I don't know if that has any basis. And the other thing is I believe that when I read the criteria for us to be in the rural stream program, that when somebody was employed with somebody, that we were going to follow up with their employers to make sure that they were employed. Is that true, and are we doing that? So those are kind of two questions I have.
Through the chair, I can answer the first. The town of Edson has canceled their rural regional street program. It was challenges related to the difficulty of vetting both people and businesses, and it was also related to much more administratively heavy, I think, than they anticipated. So for now, they had decided that they were going to cancel that program. Related to the second question, I would refer that to Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Through the chair to the rest of the committee. Currently, the program has a limit of 3 employees per employer per calendar year. Unless that employer comes forward with needing someone with special qualifications or greater numbers, as we talked about, those are special applications. So just generally speaking, there's a three employee per year limit for employers. And what we're finding is that we provide the endorsement letter, that endorsement letter and the candidate then go to Alberta Advantage Immigration Program. And they take care of watching they check the employer, they check the type of job that the person's getting, the employment agreement in terms of the pay that they're getting. And they take that candidate on. into the program and then vet the application through Alberta Advantage Immigration Program. Our work primarily ends at the endorsement letter, because that's really the limits of our role. However, the program has also done follow-up with employers and the candidates. In 2023, we did social events for both of them, got feedback from them, and have also made sure that we follow up with the candidates after they're endorsed to see how they're doing in the community and make sure that they get any additional information or support that they need. So I think there's a significant amount of feedback that's coming back from the employers and the candidates. But we don't track them, or not sure what you're looking for in terms of the level of follow-up that you're looking for there.
Well, my understanding was that we give a letter saying that you're gonna work for these people. And then part of the criteria for the program, whether we do it or whether the provincial government does it, is that somebody follows up with the employer to make sure that that person is actually working with that employer. If it's not us, is that getting done by whoever is responsible for that, the government of Alberta? If it's not getting done at all, then we've signed on to a program that had all these processes, and some of those processes that seem to be important, following up on the program aren't getting done. So we might want to consider our future involvement in the program. That's all I'm thinking. Well, they said they were going to do these steps. So when they say, is that even true that the employer, when they get one of these letters, somebody's supposed to follow up, and is that follow-up occurring? It might not be us, it might be somebody else. That's the nature of the question, because we have signed on to this program as being something that's good to Hinton, providing that the program gets administered in this particular way.
So thank you for the clarification. So through the chair to the rest of the committee, essentially the town of Hinton's role in the Alberta Advantage Immigration Program as a designated community is quite limited. We screen the employer, we screen the job, we look at the employment agreement, and we have an application from the candidate as well. Once we issue our endorsement letter, we have no obligations to do any follow-up. However, our role with the program is supporting these newcomers in our community and supporting employers after the fact. So our employers continue to work with us to apply for additional candidates. So we're continuously looking at them, watching their WCB compliance, whether they're having a license with the town, whether the jobs are actually filled with the employment contract that we're getting. And we're following up with the candidates to make sure that they're supported any way they wish. But that is technically the limit of the designated community's role in that program. The Alberta program has other vetting that they do. We do not advise on that. And that program is also dealing directly with the candidate, not with the employers. So they talk to the candidates that are looking for nomination for fast tracking for Canada permanent residency. I hope that helps. It's partially what you're looking for, I think.
Okay. Councilor Reese?
Oh, thank you, sir. I have two questions. First one is on page 38 of 38, and that's with the auction at Commissioner. The $43,000, does that go into our vehicle reserve, or where are we putting that money?
Can you clarify, Councilor Reese, where are you looking?
Page 38
Oh, okay.
of 38.
Thank you.
And I think it's the sixth line down. Auctions, items sold at Richmond.
So through to all committee, we received the proceeds from that just in the new year. Accounting is currently running it through, so right now the articles that were sold are sitting on our books as worth X amount of value, so we apply the proceeds from the sale and it either clears out those values, and if we receive more for them than they were worth on our books, then that money will flow into the reserves for further distribution at council will. If those proceeds that we received are equal to the amount that they were on, then it's a net zero change to our finances. It's just showing that we recoup the money on those assets. And if there's a loss, then it'll show up as an expense on the financial statements when we finalize audit.
So how I hear that is, was there money owing on those vehicles when they went to auction?
Through the committee, there was not money owing on those vehicles. There was, but we purchased it for X amount and then we depreciate a portion of it every year. So if there is still monetary value, so cost minus the depreciation to date, then that would be what we would be looking for the proceeds of the auction is to cover in our finances, is that difference. One or two of the units, don't quote me please, were purchased under a previous fire agreement with Yellowhead County, and as part of that agreement, we owe a percentage of those proceeds back to Yellowhead County. So in receiving this check just, I think it was the first couple days we were back from break, I haven't checked with the county to see how that all flowed through. I know she put it on my calendar to chat with her this afternoon and I pushed it off until tomorrow morning, so.
Thank you so much. And my second question and last question is, the short-term rentals, the licensing, how are we doing there?
Through the chair to members of council, I would. I can certainly provide a more detailed answer to that, but counselor, off the top of my head, I wouldn't be able to give you those particulars, but we certainly will.
Thank you very much, sir.
I don't understand, man. I don't understand your question. You say it, see it some different way, so.
I'm sorry?
What's your question in regards? I'm sorry.
With the short-term rentals, how are we going with licensing? Is everybody stepping up to license?
Are you talking about Airbnbs?
The short-term rentals?
That's what you're talking about, verbals?
Yep.
Okay. Are they getting their business license?
Yep.
That was your question. Oh, I understand now. Thank you.
Councilor Taylor, I think you said you had another question on the report.
This might be premature, but we did go November and December without too much snow removal. Is there a potential surplus there that we can start counting on?
Not the way it's snowing, right?
Well, one day of snow doesn't cover for 2 months without snow. Those shouldn't.
Through the chair to all of council, there probably is some savings on the contracted services related to that. We haven't sat down to calculate that. It'll show up in the surplus if it happens. In terms of the sand and salt, you wouldn't see a savings in 2023, but if we continue to get a light winter, you would see the savings in 2024.
Excellent. Looking forward to the savings.
Thank you, CEO Panasic, for your reports. So if there's no other questions for CEO Panasic, I look for a motion. We have two closed session matters. Mayor Nissen?
I move that we move into closed session.
Thank you. We have a motion to move into closed session. Just wait till it comes up.
Oh, never wait to vote here.
And we'll call the question, the committee move into closed session at 6:12. Please vote now. And that is carried unanimously. Thank you, everybody.
Sure, you want to hear the notice.